Thank you. Okay. Okay. Memta Samud days. Now we're middle of the sugya. It talks about the page before spoke about different conditions that the husband made. What was the cases before that we had about wine and honey, and silver and gold, and rich or poor. And Tanakama said that you always go with what he said. I think that's the Pasuk shot that Tanakama doesn't have to go into all kind of reasonings. If that's what you said, that's what it is. And if the condition wasn't fulfilled, so it's not Kiddushin. And Rav Shimon said, thank you. Rav Shimon said that if it's a condition that he did better than the condition, so then it is a good Kiddushin. And the Gemara talked about it. Rav Shimon was going to agree with this Mishnah and argue with this Mishnah. And this Mishnah, he doesn't argue. The Mishnah had a few cases before. The three cases: wine, honey, gold, silver, rich and poor. And over there, he didn't argue. He did argue over there. And here, the Mishnah has more examples. And he doesn't argue. And that was the Gemara's question yesterday. Does Rav Shimon mean to argue on this Mishnah also? And since he argued, doesn't have to argue again. Or maybe this Mishnah is different. Though some cases here might be different. Yeah, the cases, Amanan Sham Kohen, V'nim Levi, or Levi V'nim Kohen. In the Yichus, this is what the Gemara called before Shvach Yuchsin, that he said that he's a Kohen and really he's a Levi. Levi and really a Kohen. Here the Gemara said that it could be a Shemus Maskim over here, that it's not always good to be a big Yuchsin. She doesn't want to have somebody that's so much more than him. So there could be a reason that the Shemus also is Maskim, that it's not always considered better. Depends on the situation. Nasin, the Nimsa Mamzer V'Nimsa Nasin. So Mamzer, we know what it is. Somebody is born of a Chayvi Krisus. Nasin was from the Givonim that became Gerim, but there's a question over there because they made them into Mamzerim. They made them like Mamzerim Rabbanan because at the episode where they were very Achsari to Am Yisrael, and since some of the Shaul, whatever, they had Tainus and Shaul, so they wanted to kill his children, and they did, and Am Yisrael had no choice. And because of that, David made a Gzera on them that they should be considered Mamzerim, like Mamzerim Rabbanan. So here, the Gemara does say later, the Mishnah points out, Machavusa told me in Sanhedrin, and Harius talks that a mamzer is considered a bigger yichus than a nasan. A mamzer is considered a better yichus than a nasan. Also, it's considered a nasan drabanan, but he's considered a mamzer as I didn't see the sugya. But again, he's claimed to be one kind of a yichus and he was something else. Both ways. Tanakam doesn't make a difference which one is better. Same thing as the Kohen Levi Kohen, no difference. And nasin v'nimsa mamzer v'nimsa nasin. Another case, Ben Yer v'nimsa Ben Krach v'nimsa Ben Yer, that he claimed that he was a city person. Really, he was a out of towner. Or he said he's an out of towner, and a Ben Krach, and then a Ben Krach. I thought I didn't read it. Usually it's Ben Kfar. Ben Krach. Ben Krach usually means like a metropolis. It means even bigger than a year. I didn't look into it. I didn't pay attention. Yeshivas Kracham Kosh, I made a mistake. Rashi says that a Kracham was like a metropolis, like where a busy place where the shuk is, you live in Manhattan, something like that. So Ben Yer is regular city, and the Krach is a bigger, like a metropolis. So either one might be considered better than the other. Tanakama doesn't make a difference. Tanakama holds even if he says something, it was really something better than he said, does make a difference. And Krach Ben Yer, you could talk about if there might be a mile to live in a city than a Krach because the Krach is so busy. Or a Krach, on the other hand, the Krach does have more things available. It's more available to get stores and all kinds of things. So you could talk about that sometimes. Either one is a mila, but in Tanakama doesn't have to go into that. Tanakama holds even if one is really better. Also, he made it tonight. The tonight has to be fulfilled the way it was. If it was not true, so it's not Kiddushin. The next case, Amanas Shebesi Korv Lamerchatz or Brocha B'nim Shekorov, that the man married the woman on the conditioning that his house is near the Beis HaMerchas, that's usually better, that she'll be easy to get a merchas. Nowadays, we don't think about it too much because everybody has in their house they have a merchas. But in the old days, they didn't. They had to go to the Beis HaMerchas. So he said that I live near Beis HaMerchas and it's going to be convenient living, and really he lived far away. Or the opposite, that he said he's far away, really he's close by. Tanakama doesn't make a difference if it's considered a mile or not.
Live next to a train station.
is that a good thing or a bad thing? Sometimes people will say dafka yes is good for transportation. On the other hand, they don't want to have all the noise. So you could look at both ways. And that the Gemara says Rav Shimon also is going to be masking if some people have a kapay that they dafka don't want what's considered better. So that's Rav Shimon also agrees to that. It seems to me that the machlokes was according to Rav Shimon, if everyone considers it better, so then we don't care that he did better than he said it. And Tanakama, if he said, you said, and we don't care if you don't make any Avrohomers. Rav Shimon himself also agrees that if some people will prefer what most people don't, she has a right that there's a mile both ways. But Tanakama doesn't seem to consider what's better, what's worse. Even though everybody knows that this is considered a worse thing. If he said Almanas, so that's not the situation. It's not. The next case is Almanas Sheyesh Lo Bas or Shivcha Megudelas, that he's telling her he wants to marry her, and he says on the condition that I have a mature daughter. The Gemara said Megudelas. Pashpashat Megudelas means that she's a grown daughter, a grown Shivcha. And that would mean that the heart of Pasha says that that's a good thing to have, that the woman will have help. She'll have a help, either a daughter, a stepdaughter, or a shifcha that'll be able to help her. And really doesn't have, or the opposite. This one point the Gemara said before, yesterday, the Gemara said that it could be that if Shimon will agree, because he's not going to explain that it means an adult. It means that someone who's a chashav, either she's a chashav, or the Taisa says maybe it means she's a hairdresser, in a way that she has to do with other people, and she might gossip about her. So she doesn't want to have such a kind of a stepdaughter or a shifcha in the house that might be saying things about her. So here Rav also might be asking that this is not always for the better. But again, Tanakama doesn't care. Tanakama says one way is dafka better, but if he said Almanas, so the Kiddushin is only chal if it was as he said. Next one, Almanas she'ein lo banim v'yesh lo, Almanas she'yesh lo v'ein lo. He got married on the condition that he has no children, and really he does. On the condition he doesn't have any children, that he does, and he really doesn't. Again, you could talk about this if this is considered a milo or not. It might be a milo that there's no question about yibum, that even if he dies without children, she's not going to be chayiv even because he has children, or maybe she doesn't want to have the difficulty of raising the children. So either way, Tanakama doesn't care. It's a milo chesaron. And here, just to point out again,
nobody says that she doesn't want to marry a liar. I mean, she doesn't want to marry. She's a liar.
Yeah, but if he made it better, then even that made it better.
But he's a liar.
But it's better. It's better.
She doesn't trust it anymore.
But it's better.
He's
doing
if you
better.
promise your wife a small bouquet of flowers, I mean, big one, she's gonna say you're a liar.
Make Avrohom. It did even better. It did even better than you claim.
She might just not have it out of my file. She says, "What's going on? What did you do wrong? Why are you buying me flowers? What did you do wrong?"
Okay, but it could be that that's the issue over here. That if it's for the better. Just to sum it up, Rav Shimon doesn't argue over here. What's conspicuous is the Mishnah. If you learn the Mishnah straight without holding more in between, so the Mishnah before had 3 examples, and there was a machlokas. One case was that I'm giving you a cup of wine. Really, it was honey or wine. Another case, silver and gold, gold and silver. Another case was what? Rich and poor. And Kama says all the cases, even if it was for the better, not a good Kiddushin. Rav Shimon says if it's for the better, it is good Kiddushin. The Gemara explained that maybe Rav Shimon argues on this Mishnah also, because even though he doesn't talk, but he argued before, he doesn't have to argue again. But the Gemara did say that it's possible that some of these cases, it's true that he's going to argue, and he doesn't have to speak it out because it's obvious. But there are some cases that are chiddush that he does that maybe he should agree on, and the Gemara says maybe he does agree. Ulutaka says he does agree to some cases, what the Gemara calls shvach yuchsin, the case of Kohen Levi, as the Gemara expressed, a person doesn't want to have a shoe bigger than their foot. So not you go to get a shoe and you get he gives you a size, and then he says I'll bring even better, brings a bigger size. So you say that's not better, just because it's bigger, it's not better. So someone that has a certain level of status of yichus is not after better to have a husband who's such a bigger, better status of yichus. So not for every. So the Gemara says Rav Shimon could be maskim over here. Also by some other cases, the case of the shivcha, the bas, that it could be that I don't want such a chashuv stepdaughter, a big chashuv stepdaughter, or a hairdresser who's a stepdaughter because she has to do with other people and she might be saying stories about me. So all those cases where Rav Shimon also will say that not everybody considers that better. Rav Shimon also will be maskim. But the Tanakama doesn't seem to consider the whole issue what's better, what's worse. Even if it's worse, Tanakama says it's only only married if you listen to the condition, if you fulfill the condition that you said. Uvakulam, this is going to be the whole Sugya of the Gemara now. The Gemara doesn't talk about all this. Everything we learned, the Gemara talked about yesterday already. But now the Mishnah ends off Uvakulam, Afal Pi, Sha'amra Belibia, Haya Liskadesh Lo, Afal Pi came in the Mukadeshes, Becheni Shetatu. That even if she says that I meant to marry him, even if the condition, he may have said a condition on Manas, but I had in mind to get married to him, even if the condition is not fulfilled, doesn't help. Still, in Mukadeshes.
Why?
Because the Bam Shabbalei Ben Devarim, and that's going to be the Gemara. The whole sugya is going to be what's going to be in the bottom line. That's highlighted because that's today's sugya. The Gemara calls this the Bam Shabbalei Ben Devarim. That when you're thinking in your heart, it doesn't count. That's the pashas how the Gemara is going to approach the Mishnah. Maybe the Gemara is going to say it's not proof.
He made it tonight, no?
And she said, but he says you have to add on. He says, and she says that I meant to get married even under other conditions, even if this condition is not true. So it doesn't make a difference what she thought. And the Gemara says that might be the concept called Ram Shabbalei and the problem. We don't care what somebody's thinking, we only care what people say. What you say matters, it doesn't make a difference what you think. And even if she says, and we have no reason to doubt her, and she says, at least make a Safek Kiddushin. Here it says, in a Mukadeshes, L'chora means that it's not even a Safek Kiddushin. I guess you don't even have to be choshesh for what she says that she thought, even if it's true that she thought that, because Ram Shabbalei, it's how would you say that in English? It's only mental words, and it wasn't verbalized. It wasn't said. If you didn't say it, so it doesn't count. And the Mishnah ends up on all this. The whole Mishnah has all kinds of examples where he fooled her. The same thing would be if she fooled him. They made a condition on Manas that you are such and such. She said that she's something, and he married her on that condition. And if it was not true, so it's not Kiddushin. And even though he says I wanted to marry her anyway, get married again. But that marriage was not a marriage. So that's the Mishnah that says all kinds of conditions, and we pass on like the Tanakhama that they're all not a marriage. If he said so, made a condition, and it wasn't fulfilled, so it's not Kiddushin. Just to point out, there are some things that even if he didn't make a condition, everybody knows that. It's not in our sugya, but in Ksubas talks about things that everybody knows that he meant to marry only under certain circumstances, and that might be Kiddushay Tos, might be considered a mistake, and it wouldn't be Kiddushin either. Here we're talking about things that he specified. He said Manas.
When it says
he starts and it's going to go into the sugya of
Hitatu means mistake. Means mistake, right? It doesn't mean false.
Hitatu means that she fooled. Hitatu means she fooled him. All these cases till now, whether it was that he fooled her, and the last three words means, and the same halacha would be if she fooled him. Hitatu, she fooled him.
Thank you.
The other way would be hit ehu, she fooled hitat. I think it's hit ehu, she fooled him. But here it's hitatu that she fooled him. He fooled her. Hitata. I'm not sure.
In other words, they're saying they lied. The fooling means they lied. Or they implied that something was
true. They made a condition. The condition wasn't true. She said, I'm announced that I'm a
millionaire.
Okay, I'm rich, and really she was poor. So it's not Kiddushin, or the opposite. She said, I'm announced that I'm poor, and really she's rich. All these conditions, no difference who fooled who. It's not good condition. The Gemara starts all kinds of stories about Eretz Yisrael today, all kinds of Eretz Yisrael issues, and the post can bring down these Gemaras to Gabe, the mitzvah of Eretz Yisrael a little bit, but it's not mamish subject. Some of them will apply to any two places, but the Gemara does talk about coming to Eretz Yisrael. Who gathered this up in the next day? I died till the Eretz Yisrael. Somebody sold out his estate because he intended to go to Eretz Yisrael, so he sold out whatever he had over there in Puslavitz. He sold his estate. And then, but when he sold it, he didn't say that's the reason why I'm selling it. We know that was his intention. That's why we're selling out. But when he sold it, when he sold the house, whatever, he didn't say that's the reason. So it's only mental words. He didn't say so. So he came back on the sale. He wants to come back. And the point was that he wasn't able to go to Eretz Yisrael. That's the end of the story over here. He wasn't able to go. And then as for Allah, he wasn't able to go. Whatever happened, he wasn't able to go. So he wants to buy back his house. He says, I only sold it because I was going to Israel. I'm not able to go. So Rabbi says, but you didn't say so. He didn't say so. So he didn't say so.
You finish the sentence.
The Varm Shabbalay, and the Varm.
Let's say even he says so. It's his,
Oh. So that's Tosfos Kasha. The Gemara's mash, but the only problem is because he didn't say so. But if he would have said so, it would have been good. It doesn't say it said Almanas. He didn't make a condition. He just says, I'm selling this house because I want to go to Eretz Yisrael. And then it comes out they wasn't able to go. Is that the Gemara's mash, but that's enough. It says Avrahom's Kasha, and here we can see Tosfos already. Mash Madavke B'Shum Shalom Pirish Shabbat. The only problem is because he didn't say anything. But if he did say something, and he said, I'm selling it because I want to go to Eretz Yisrael, so then he could back out and say, I wasn't able to go. The Kasha, this is Tosfos Kasha over here. Just to highlight it.
It's not even a tonight. He is about tonight kafel. It's not even a tonight. He's saying the reason why he's selling.
Okay, that's all. That's all including Tosfos Kasha. I'll be on tonight kafel. Maybe someone takes out. Maybe someone will take out the word. I don't know if the shin is over here. I'll be on tonight kafel. Avelo hisna. Does anybody do what is the shin over here? Once you pointed out that difficulty, shin. No, he just tells you where it is. But you have to make a condition. He didn't make any condition. It has to be a double condition. It has to say both ways. If I go, I'm selling. If I go, I'm selling it. If I don't go, I'm not selling it. So Tosfos at the end says, that you have to say that Yishvam Shein Tzrichim tonight kafel. Because I say some things you don't need because we understand already. Tosfos goes further, and there are even some things. Gam yesh dvarim tafilu gilim milsolo boy. Some things you don't even have to even show us in any way because we know. So this is a Tosfos says that tonight kafel is not tonight kafel. Sometimes it's called an ansadi that we know, everybody knows. So if he here didn't say anything, so we don't know. But if he would have said so, so we do know. So Tosfos here says that you don't need a tonight kafel. It is a good kasha, and Tosfos says this chiddush.
And is this all within a certain amount of time? Is that also part of the understood?
It could be. He said if he comes back half a year later, like in the morning, like what happened the whole time, that could be. The Gemara doesn't talk about that, but that's also makes sense that we see that it wasn't the reason. What happened? That he didn't come back to go back on the sale until much later. He didn't go to Eretz Yisrael. And then a half a year later, he comes and says, I want my house back. So I can bring it back the whole time. Might be an issue, might be a point.
The guy tells his wife, we're getting married, we're moving to Eretz Yisrael. He has no.
And then she doesn't want to go to Eretz Yisrael.
No, she wants to go to Eretz Yisrael. But he has no. It was a lie. He never even planned on going to Eretz Yisrael.
So
they get married, and he promises that we're moving to Eretz Yisrael, which does
happens.
And then all of a sudden, a month later, he says, I really had no intention. I like my job. So at the time of the Kiddushin, that's Lamish's Gemara, right?
Because at the time he didn't say so. If there would really be by the Kiddushin, he would say, "I read Mukadeshas li Almanas," then I'm going to go to Eretz Yisrael. Then that'll become serious. And I tell you for sure that Masada Kiddushin is not going to let him make a Tanai. It's not going to go today. Today, no Tanai. That's not just going to walk out on. So I don't know. Lamai said, you're right, that even though people make all kinds of conditions, and people find out all kinds of things that they told them this and that, right. And then it wasn't true. And the Kiddushin is Kiddushin. Sometimes you hear stories that a week after the marriage, they get divorced because they found out something that they didn't know. And they don't say Kiddushin Tos. They don't say the whole thing was a mistake. Today, they're not going to say, I don't know, the Machmer today, I don't know what, I'm not coming from a Bezdin, it seems that I never heard that they said the whole thing was a mistake and it's not Kiddushin, go away without a get. They aren't going to say that they need a get. So that's even more extreme in your case. Even if it's something that everybody knows, like Tosfos says, there's some things everybody knows that what the Gemara calls Kiddushin Tos. And I think that also they're not going to say, oh, it's not good Kiddushin. But in the law of the Gemara, if someone made a Tanai, Almanas, it's surely not the Kiddushin. And the Gemara here is going, even if it is Almanas, like Tosfos points out, that you just said, I'm selling this because I want to go to Eretz Yisrael, or he's going to say, I'm marrying you. Nowadays, they don't even do that. They don't even say, I'm marrying you because I want to be, and I want to go to Eretz Yisrael. They talk about it before for 3 months. And then when it comes to Kiddushin, it's a regular chasana. Nobody talks anything. So surely it's going to be a marriage.
How do you get it? Because even if you, what's it? Let's say someone sells to Reuven a field because he's moved to Israel. It doesn't work out. Even if we know clearly the reason why he sold it because he's moving to Israel. But the Maisa didn't make. They didn't. The mechir is not out tonight. He had his reason, he's not having enough.
That's the kasha. And Tosfos answers that's called that Vomshib. That if you hold Vomshib Alev, yes, is the Vorim. Or if we have, he said so, and we know that he only sold it because of that reason. So then it was dependent. It was contingent. There was a dependence on that,
Why is it
and it's not
contingent? He's
because
saying the
that's what,
reason why he sold it.
and that means that he's only selling it. That's what it means. That's it's not much saying the same thing as Tosfos,
Pick a
and you don't
different
have to say
example. Someone thinks
it
they
doesn't
have
make a difference in other cases. It's all the same. It can help to say another case. There's another case.
No,
That's
but I hear. But why should we? He's selling it.
he's only selling it because of that reason. It's understood. He's only selling it for that reason. Otherwise, it was Mekah Toms. If he would have known he's not going to be able to go, he wouldn't have sold it. That's
it's
called
a
Kiddushin
Chiddush, it's a
Torah
Mecca
Mekah.
type because the mechira was good. Just the
The mechira
side
was-
reason.
that's the
side reason it fell through.
So that makes it that he wouldn't have sold it under those circumstances. And and if he said so, so that means that that's the reason why he's selling it. Your kasha was that he didn't make it tonight. That's
No,
not.
my Asha not only didn't make it tonight. It's
If he
his
made it
own
tonight-
problem that it didn't work out.
If he made it tonight, then it's understood. So
Yeah.
this is called he made it tonight. That's what this is saying. They did not have to have it tonight. It's understood that it's tonight.
Okay.
The Gemara says that's all sugya. That's today's sugya. At least the Amar Aleph. Dvarim Shabbalei Ben and Dvarim. And the Gemara wants to know, how do you know? The Gemara is going to go on a lookout to find rayas. You could go to our Mishnah right away, and the Gemara is going to bring our Mishnah. But the way the Gemara sets up, that it brings a sugya, like a left field sugya, and eventually it'll come back to our Mishnah. So we're going to look through Shas, going for proofs to try to find proofs from Shabbalei if it counts or not. The Gemara's assumption is Rava says Dvarim Shabbalei Ben and Dvarim. Amar Rava, not Rava. Where does Rava know that Dvarim Shabbalei don't count? The Gemara is suggesting itself, maybe because of the following Mishnah. Yakriv also, it says that a person brings a korban. Beginning of Sefer Vayikra, a person Adam Yakriv became korban, so he brings the korban. Alama Shikofa also. Sometimes you force him. It means if he accepted upon himself to bring a korban, he made a neder, so you force him to fulfill the neder. You force him to bring the korban. Yochel Bal Korcha, you think you mamish force him against his will. The pasuk says that every korban has to be that he wants to bring it. Okay, so how do you do it against his will and he has to want? It's famous Gemara that the Rambam made it famous. That you force him, you twist his hand until he says, "I want." So you did both. You forced him and he wants. But the kasha is, we know that he doesn't want. We know that he doesn't want. So you go with what he said and you don't go with what he thinks. Isn't that a proof that Ram Shabbalei Ben and Dvarim? So the Gemara rejects this proof. I'm sorry, continue. It must be, we don't care what he thinks, we care what he says. And therefore, if he says Rotzani, that's good enough for us. But the Gemara says the Gemara is going to reject that. Maybe because we do know that he wants to get an atonement, even though the Rambam calls this like we're beating up his Yetzer Hara, that he really wants, deep down. He has a big layer of Yetzer Hara that doesn't let him, but he really wants to. So we beat him up until his real intention comes out. That's the famous Rambam that they bring down. Another one coming up soon. So this was the first kasha, and then this was the answer that it's not a raya because maybe for sure he wants to get a kapara, and therefore when you force him and he finally says I want, so we assume that he also wants in his heart also. So it's not a proof. So it wasn't a good proof. Next one, Elam Sefer, the next case of that Mishnah. The same thing applies when someone has to give a get, or we force him to give a get, or we force him to free his slave. So on one hand you force him, on the other hand he has to want. You force him until he agrees, until he says I want. And the same kasha, we know that he doesn't want, we're just forcing him. In his heart he's not happy about it. So how come it's a good get? How come it's a good shechur if we know that he doesn't really want? It must be he don't care what he thinks. It must be because we say that we don't care about what he thinks. But the more again rejects it. We say that maybe he probably does want. The Yetzer Hara is stopping him, but he really deep down, the recesses of his heart, he wants to know what the halacha is. And the Chachamim say that he's supposed to give a get or a shechur, so he really wants to listen. But it's difficult for him. So we force him to stop that outer layer of Yetzer Hara. But we're getting to his real desire. So it's still not a raya. Maybe the Dvarim Shabbalei is the Dvarim. Maybe it does count what he thinks. Third try. Elam Rav Yosef Macha. We're being a raya to the Rabba's concept from the following. Hamakadas is Seisha. Ba'amar Kasaba Yisi Shi Kahenes. V'arei Levia. Levia. V'nim says Kahenes. Aniya. V'arei Ashira. Ashira. V'arei Aniya. Mukudashes. If somebody marries a woman, and he said, B'shas Ma'aseh didn't say anything. But he says afterwards, I thought that she was a Kohenes, and now I see she's a Levia. Or I thought she was a Levia, now she's a Kohenes. I thought she was poor, now she's rich. I thought she was rich, now she's poor. It is Kiddushin. because because she didn't fool him. She didn't say anything. So even though you thought, what's the most kasha? Amai hakama kasava yisi. How come it's not Kiddushin? He says that I thought. I guess it means that you should at least be even if you really thought so. We believe you. We believe you that you thought so, and you only meant to be Kaddish under certain condition or on a certain understanding, and it wasn't true, and you really didn't mean to be Mekadosh, but you didn't say so. You said, I read Mekadeshly. You didn't say, because you're a Kohenes, because you're a Levia. So don't you see that you don't take into consideration what he thought? You don't care what he said. Abaye said it's not a raya either, because maybe over there with us Machmir to say that maybe she's married. When it says Mekudeshes, maybe it doesn't mean definitely, maybe it means a suffix. That we're not sure, because maybe means the question of Dvarim Shabbalei in the Dvarim, maybe yes, maybe not. Means you did prove at least that there's a tzad to say that ain't in the Dvarim. There's a tzad to say we don't consider what he thought. But you can't prove to me that even the Kuli going to say you don't care what he thought. The case that Rav was talking about was that what was Rav's case? Dvarim Shabbalei in the Dvarim, and he cannot back out of the sale. Maybe over there you have like he's a muhsak, he was the original owner, and maybe if it would be a suffix, he would be able to get it back. Rabbi knows for sure that we don't consider what he thought, only what he said. And Abai says it's not a right from here. You just see that l'chumri and machmir to be choshish that you don't care about what he said and what he thought. And therefore, since he didn't say he's marrying her under certain understanding, so that's the reason why it's a suffix Kiddushin at least. But you don't see that it's that we're going to be makel and say. Even the Kula, we're going to say that we don't care about what somebody thinks. So we still didn't follow. We had 3 tries already, still didn't work. Elam Abaye is going to try to bring a raya. Now goes to our Mishnah. Our Mishnah is the reason why the whole sugi came in, because here it seems to be Lam Shabbat in the Dvarim. It says Bekulam Afal Pisha Amra Belibi Hayam Skadish Lo Afal Pikain and Mukadeshes. They made all kinds of tano. I mean, they said a condition. There was a condition said, and according to the condition, they wouldn't be married. But she says, I don't mind to get married even if the condition is not true. And the Mishnah says, Einim Mukadeshes, that's a kula. Einim Mukadeshes means it's not even a suffix, no marriage. Why is it not marriage? If you go according to the Ram that she says, I wanted to get married. He says, I wanted to marry her. She says, I wanted to marry him. And even though, but they said a condition. So you see that you don't care what they think. He doesn't go according to what they said. So it's a right to Rava. So why don't you say it's suffix condition? But again, the Gemara is Matchar Raya. The Dil Mashani Yasam Chiven da Asnei Lav Kol Kimina Dakra Lele tonight. Since they made it tonight, he made it tonight, so she doesn't have the strength to undo the tonight. Can anybody help me with this answer? What might the answer be? Even if the Dvarim Shabbalei is Dvarim, we do care what somebody thinks. Here, he made it tonight.
It's only strong enough when it doesn't oppose something else that was said.
But it's only a question if she accepted it. Are you saying that he wasn't Mekadesh only under a certain condition? And even though she says, I accepted it anyway, then it comes out very simple. That like someone mentioned before, that you have to have both, the husband and the wife. If he was not Mekadesh only under a certain condition, we don't care that she wanted to get married anyway. He only was Mekadesh under a certain condition.
But the Chari should say he doesn't want. He wants to marry her.
But,
He's saying this condition to make her to agree, but he wants to marry her anyhow.
So I wasn't so sure what this is saying. So Rashi says, since he expressed his condition, she doesn't have the power to uproot his condition with what she thought. Since she heard what he said and she didn't object, she didn't protest, to say since she didn't say anything. I'm not sure if Rashi's saying something. Rashi says maybe, I'm not sure what Rashi's saying. Rashi says that the fact that he said something, made a condition, and she didn't protest and say, marry me without any conditions, so therefore what? So she doesn't have the power to do it. I thought the Gemara means that with Chosh that she's lying. She comes and says, he made a condition, and she didn't say anything. So now she says, I meant to get married even without a condition. I would think that maybe the Gemara means that she's lying. If he would have meant to get married under any condition, he would have said so. But I think the next Gemara is not much. That next Gemara is going to come in about question of lying. Here the Gemara seems to say that she doesn't have the power to do it, and I'm not sure what the answer is. Dvarim Shabbalei maybe is Dvarim, but if he said something and she didn't say anything, so that's some reason is different. So I don't have clarity to be able to say definitely what the pshat is. Anybody? Not over here. The next goes, so the Gemara still rejects it. It's still no. We have already 4. None of them work. Now it goes. And that was our Mishnah. So our Mishnah, that's to point out that our Mishnah, I started off saying that the Pshat in the Mishnah is Dvarim Shabbalei and Dvarim. The Gemara does consider that possibility. And the truth is going to be so, because the truth is going to be, we are going to prove in a second that Dvarim Shabbalei and Dvarim. Just the Gemara says, our Mishnah wanted a minute proof. He could have understood it differently. The reason why it's not good Kiddushin is because he made it to 9. She didn't say anything. So over there, we don't consider what she thought.
When there's a purchase, if someone goes to purchase something and they find out that it's overpriced, you can go back and get a return. Now, is that something that he thought in his mind? If I knew it was that, if you knew you were overcharging me, I wouldn't have bought it. That's
over there, maybe it has to do with the laws of overcharging. The Torah says, "Oh no, that you're not allowed to overcharge." And over there, the Gemara says, when it's less than a 6, so then people are mochel. They waive the difference. And if it's a 6, so then they don't waive it, and therefore he has the right to get the overcharge back. And if it's more than a 6, so then the whole thing, then the whole deal is off. Then it's not even the deal is on plus I just get back the difference. Then the whole deal is off. So you want to know if that has to do with Asuk of Dvarim Shabbalei, or it could be maybe like Tosfos says that these are things that everybody. So understood that it's even more than Dvarim Shabbalei, but I don't know. But it could be. And now the Gemara is going to find the final proof. This is going to be the proof. Rav Chi Bar Ravin, we had yesterday that he was called Arisha B'Chabura. Rabbi called him the lion of the group. There was such a case that happened about a Dvarim Shabbalei in the yeshiva of Rav Chisda. Rav Chisda went to Rav Huna to find the raya, and they finally found the raya. They brought a raya from the following Mishnah, I guess. How does it go over here? This is a question about Me'ilah. Somebody had hektish and they spent it not for hektish. So the question of Me'ilah, and the question is, who's the one who's moel? Is it the one who owns it or the shliach who did it? So we have a concept we had a couple of days ago that even though usually ain't shliach l'dvar avera, but by hektish there is shliach l'dvar avera, and if the shliach did listen to the mishaleach, so then the mishaleach is the one. The sender is the one who's guilty, not the shliach. Even though usually it's shliach l'dvar avera, the sender is chayiv. If the shliach didn't do as instructed, so then he wasn't a shliach. So then he's the one who's guilty. He's the one who's the moed. Tais over there talks about everything's by mistake over there. The whole question of milas b'shogeg, but we'll leave out that detail. So here's the case. Someone said to a shliach, he said to somebody, "Bring me something from the chalon, from the shelf, from the window, from the cabinet. Bring me something." And he did, the and it happened to be that was hektish at the end. He brought him a hektish loaf, whatever it was. And they come out that there's meal over here. Somebody was moel. So the question is, was the shliach moel? Was the balabais moel? So it says, Afi shamol balabais. He said, you got the wrong one. He went to the right shelf. He went to the right cupboard. He said, bring me from the closet. He bought from the closet. But he said, I didn't mean that one. Since you bought from the closet that the balabais said, right. So balabais small. That's called that he did do shliach. He did the shlichus, and the balabais says not what I meant. What are you going to say? Why is he considered the shliach? How come I believe me? He said that in my heart I didn't mean this one. Must be a proof that you don't consider what he thought. You just consider what he said. He said, bring me from the closet. He bought from the closet. If you bought from a different closet, then surely the shliach is the one who did it. Then the balabais says it's not a shlichus, because he said this closet, not that closet. But he bought from the same closet that the balabais said, but he got the wrong one. So it must be because Dvarim Shabbalei and Dvarim. So that seems to be a good proof. But the Gemara tries to get out of this also. Maybe because the balabais wants to get out of it, it's hypercarbon and he wants to get out of it. Here Rashi says maybe he's lying. This is the first time that the Gemara says maybe he's lying. I was wondering the whole time maybe he's lying. But here, this Gemara says maybe he's lying because he wants to get out of a carbon. So he wants to blame it on the shliach. And really he did mean the one that the guy got. And if he really would know for sure that he didn't, then we would say that the shliach is moral. But we can't trust him because he's going to gain by lying. The Gemara says no. If he wanted to get out of the carbon, there were other ways I could have gotten out of the carbon, and therefore we should trust him. If the whole chash is that he's lying, that's only a chash if he's gaining by the lie. But if he could have gotten out of the carbon with a different way, then he has like a migu, we can call it, and he didn't have to say this lie. Have a layla mema amazed how you see. If he wanted to get out of the korban, he could have said, I did it intentionally. He also not chayav korban. The korban means only if he did it b'shogeg. But if he knew that it was hektish and he intentionally did it, then there is no korban mila. So if you choshed him that he's lying in order to get out of the korban, he could have lied differently. So the Gemara says simply, no, that's not called a migu. He doesn't want to say that was amazing. He doesn't want to make himself look like a Russia. Maybe he really wants to get out of the korban and he's willing to lie, but he's choosing a good lie. A good lie is to say that you got the wrong one. It's not such a neat lie to say that I was amazing. Still, the Gemara tries. There's another kasha. He got to get out of the korban. You're right. I made a mistake. And I sent you to get the hektish one. But as you were going, I remember that it's hektish. And he's not type of korban because a korban is only if he was a shogeg till the end. But if he did the beginning of the shogeg, then he remembered, he's not type of korban. So if he wanted just to get out of the korban and really he's lying, so he could have lied the other. He could have said differently. He could have said, I remember. And that's the end of the Gemara. So it is a good proof. That means he had a way of getting out of it. So we're not choshesh that he's lying. If he just wanted to get out of the korban, he could have said, I remember on the way while you were going, I remember that it's hektish, and therefore I'm not chayav korban mila. It must be that he's not lying. So if he's not lying, so why is he more? Why is the so zvam shebelev? So therefore, what I'm not remembering. I'm not calculating.
True, and he still don't believe it.
Again,
It's true. He's not lying.
It's true. He's not lying, and he says that I didn't mean that one. So why is Balabai small? He wasn't much liach. It must be the one shebelev ben. So on the fifth proof, the Gemara got it. We tried 4 others, didn't work. This one also almost didn't work, but the Gemara saved it at the end, and it comes out that Vam Shabbalei Ben and Deform. This is a Shasugya, what they call. This has a lot of other ramifications. This halacha, Vam Shabbalei Ben and Deform, that what someone thinks doesn't count. It depends what he says. End of Sugya. New Sugya. A man sold his property with the intention of going to Eretz Yisrael, and he said so. You have to, here we're out of that subject. He said so. He said he's selling it because he wants to go to Eretz Yisrael. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. He sold it because he wanted to go to Eretz, and he said so. And at the end, he went to Eretz Yisrael, but it didn't work out. Below is Darle. He wasn't able to live over there. Why not?
So it could be even after 2 years, it's going to come back. That's what Shal brought up.
There, I think Shal meant before because if he didn't say anything right away, so then it looks fishy.
No,
when it comes
okay, but I'm
back.
saying
Here,
this
it's not
case he
fishy.
moved, and
Yeah.
then he tried out for years.
So
didn't
then,
work
right. So
out.
they have to know. Then you have to know how long is the call that he moved over there. So he's there for 10 years, then he comes back. 20 years. People also
So
go
let's say he
back.
came for a year, didn't
So that's
try
it,
to get his kids in school and try to get
Okay,
a job.
so
and
that
didn't
seems to
work
be
out.
that seems to be the case. In those days, for sure, they didn't go for a week. They surely tried, and it didn't work. And then he comes back and he says, "I want my house back because I said beferish." Here, it's not a question of B'Shabbat. I said beferish that I am selling in order to go to Eretz Yisrael, and it didn't work out. So what do you say?
Huge Kiddush because the idea is to sell it because he going and he went. It didn't work out. Someone sold the house.
So that's the
and he
question.
bought a new house.
What do you mean to do?
Let's say someone sold the house to get a new house, and the new house he doesn't like. It did whatever. It has bad heating.
So it could be the same question. Amar Rava called the Sola Kadaita Lemedu. Ola is Dale. This is how much the question that Ravam is saying without saying it, that when he meant to go, what did he mean to do? So Rava said, like Ravam said in the beginning, that he meant to stay permanently, and he wasn't able to stay permanently, so the deal's off. He's not to come back and say that it didn't work out. Ikadam, but here's another Ikadami. Ikadami, others say that they have a different version of what Rava said. He meant to go and to try it, and he did. So when a person goes to Eretz Yisrael, does he mean that it should be permanent? Or it means that he's going to try it out and he hopes that's going to work, but he's not selling it on the condition that it works out permanently.
They could have rented the property in the first place.
He could have only rented it out and not to sell it. So it could be that things are
these days.
right. Things are different nowadays in those days. Over there, you go to Eretz Yisrael, you can't hold on to the rent. Nowadays, everything
Lease land in the past. Why not?
leasing it.
Leasing.
It could be, but it could be also that.
The same
Let's say it works out. How does he to make any kind of a deal back and forth. Nowadays, you make a phone call and you make a transaction or a transfer. But in those days, I don't know if it was so doable. I'm just suggesting I'm listening the same way.
Those you can't rent in a different country.
Oh, you have to have the money. You have to have the money. It could be that he had to have the money. It means if it's leasing it, he's not going to get the amount of money that he got for selling it. And he wanted to go to Israel. He needed the full money. But he said, I'm only doing it if it's going to work out. That's the question. Even if it's going to work out, or enough that I'm trying, that I'm not making it dependent. The sale's not dependent if it's going to work out. Okay, so the first Gemara, so this Gemara already has two Lashonos. That's already a question. It's probably a big question. When someone makes this tonight that I should go to Eretz Yisrael, the question so far, the Gemara, even though I talk about Eretz Yisrael, which of course is the place people should be coming to, both Gemaras, the Chorah could be talking about going from Australia to New York also, the same thing, that Ram Shabalev, it didn't work, he wasn't able to go, or this case that he went, but it didn't work out. So far, maybe it doesn't have to do with Eretz Yisrael only, unless maybe you do say over here that he wanted to go, he didn't wanted to try it out, it means Eretz Yisrael, maybe there's a mile of going, I'm not sure, but this Gemara would apply to other places also. And new Gemara, who gave it the middle of next day, a diet of a Mesek Eretz Yisrael, the so of it. Somebody sold it to Farish because he wants to go to Eretz Yisrael, at the end he didn't go. But nothing's stopping him. He just decided not to go. So he comes to the buyer and says, I sold it to Farish because I wasn't going to go. I'm not going. I'm a Ravashi. He boy Solik. He thought if you want to, you can get up. You can go. Now, it's not a reason to cancel the sale. If you want to, you can go. So it's not a reason to cancel the sale. Ikadamri. So I wouldn't have known how to read the Gemara. But Rashi says, you read it like this. Ikadamri, Iboy lo Solik. If he wants to, he can't go. He's really saying the same thing. That either he said it, if he wants to, he can go, or if he wants to, he can't go. Like what's stopping him? So it's.
I don't know who else anyone wants from
No,
this pastor's name.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
They should all back safely.
I get on my phone. Thank you. I appreciate
They should be misleach in their work.
Amen.
So far, according to you see from the Gemara coming up, Rashi got it from the Gemara. So he's really saying that the deal's not off because if he wants to, he can go. Nothing's stopping him. But he expressed it in one of two ways. Either he said if he wants to, he can go, or what's stopping him? Why is he not going? So my benayu, there's own sub. If there's some onus happen on the road. So what does that mean?
He can't go anymore.
Rashi said he heard that there's this dangerous road. So therefore what? According to Lishna Kama, it sounds like only if he boy the mitrach or the aduri basa sheilos have a salik. It is possible to go. If he wants to, we can go. It means even though it's dangerous road, it doesn't mean that it's onus mamish. I don't know how to read it in the Gemara. I can't in the words. Rashi says that it's a difficulty on the road, but if he wants to, he can get there. It means he can't go in regular transportation, but he can get an armed escort. So if he wants to, we could go. So that makes it sound like if he could get there in any way, that's not considered an onus. But according to Lishna Basra, like what's stopping him? So what's stopping him sounds like if it's easy to go. But if there is some kind of an ikut, even though it's possible, but it's not easy to go, maybe Rashi would also say that that's not called that he could go. End of that Gemara. End of the whole sugya. New Mishnah, which we also had already. Amakadosh is Isha. He married a woman on the condition that she doesn't have any vows on her.
It seemed like you stopped.
Yes, please.
Did you do the last line before the Mishnah?
What is that?
I didn't quite hop the last line before.
Yeah. Well, my benayu is that an onus happened on the road, which Rashi says there's an onus. It's difficult to go with the regular transportation, but it is possible. Right. I missed a lot. That was what you meant. Next Mishnah. A man made a shliach to marry a woman in a certain place. A certain woman in a certain place. We had something of this yesterday. But the shliach did do the shlichus of marrying this woman for him, but he did it someplace else. He met the woman someplace else. He married her someplace else. Because the Tanai was dafka in that place. When he said, I wanted to marry her in that place, he meant dafka in that place. If he didn't say, marry her in that place, but he said, Harehi b'mokum ploni, she's in a certain place. Marry her, she's in a certain place. Then it doesn't say marry her in a certain place. Marry her, she lives there and there. So. So then because over there he doesn't meant to say where she is. He didn't make that's where you should marry her. I'm just telling you where to go because that's where you'll find her. That's surely his ma'amakamula. He doesn't meant to say where she is. But in the first case where he said marry her in a certain place, it's a dafka. He meant dafka in that place. And if married he has some reason why he wants dafka in that place. I think we're going to talk about it. I think Moshe says there's such a mission by Gittin also. But Gittin, he says the same thing by get. Same idea. He made a shliach to give a get to divorce his wife in a certain place, and he divorced her. The shliach did it someplace else. But the son of puzzle because he meant Afka in that place. But if he just said she happens to be in a certain place, kosher because he didn't mean Dafka in that place. He just wanted to tell where he is. So the Meister says the same mission both by Kiddushin and by Gittin, and the kasha always what do you have to have? Both Mishnahs could have learned one from the other. But Sricha, it is necessary to say both. We wouldn't have been able to learn one from the other. But Sricha, the Ashmin and Gabi Kiddushin, the Mokom de la Kurva Kasi, Bahayasra Rachmuli, Lamamli Mili Alavoy, Bahayasra Masanuli, Mamli Mili Alavoy. It could be that he wants to get married after in a certain place because when he's getting married, he wants to. She should think well of him, and he knows in the place that he told to get married because over there he has friends, and when she comes to be Mavara about him, she'll find out good things about him. That's why he wants to marry in that place. But he goes, he went another place. He doesn't want to marry in another place because over there people don't like him and they'll talk about him. They'll say bad things about him. So that's it. That's a reason why he would have to want to marry in a certain place. But by Gittin, there's no chash. Why? Maybe he doesn't care where he divorces her. He's coming to distance her. He's getting separated from her. He doesn't care where it does. So even though he said divorce her in a certain place, he doesn't really care. And the opposite also, the Ashmin Gabi Gerushin, if I only was at the mission of Gerushin over there, there's also a reason why he's not connected. That in one place he doesn't mind that people know that he divorced. It's not, he doesn't care what they think about him. But in another place, he doesn't want people to know that he divorced. Maybe on the contrary, there's more paid by yet that people should not know than by Kiddushin.
No, I know they're gonna end up knowing it. At the time, he doesn't want to embarrass him.
Okay.
This is after the point, isn't it? So how would that help?
No, what do you mean after?
It's like after the get, it happened in this place. Goes, I didn't want to happen in that city, so they didn't know.
So he didn't need to make a mishliach. He didn't need to make a mishliach under those conditions, so it wasn't a shliach. Even though the Lamaisi he got embarrassed. The shlichus. No. The shlichus is no. Yeah, because it's not a shliach. I didn't appoint you under such conditions. It's true. The Lamaisi he got the visionos and but he didn't make a shliach for that. Nice point. Shaul is asking. He didn't want. He got the vajonas anyway. So why does he want? It shouldn't be a get. Now that's not a get. So it's no vajonas. Maybe, maybe that now that they're married again, they're still married.
Right? And then it's gonna happen in another city. He gets double in it.
No, I think he go back to the city and he can show that he's married still, and don't think it's not true.
Okay.
Maybe, but the point's a nice point. Next Mishnah. Amakadesh Esa Isha. Thank you.
Moshe's lemons. I just cut it.
Who's this?
She is. You pay for it every day. No, I don't think you made a breakfast.
I remember I drank the bottom. That might have been last night.
No, the bottom was for yesterday.
Yeah,
I didn't bring it. This is the first cup I brought you this morning.
Yeah, but I thought I had leftovers.
Oh, maybe you did. Maybe you did. I don't know.
I
I
think
did
I
the
drank
first I
some.
brought you this morning. Maybe you had left over from last night. I don't know. You want me to make I'll go out for a second.
Is er wacht zijn het zwiegen? Heb je dat ze wacht zijn het zwiegen?
No, because first off, Rishus. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'akol yom v'roh.
Yes, you have to make it. Okay. I'm Kaddish Isha. I'm not Shein Elena Dorim. On the condition that she doesn't have any vows. She hasn't made any vows. She doesn't want a wife that makes vows. She didn't Elena Dorim, but it comes out that she did. In Mukadeshes because he made it tonight. It wasn't fulfilled. Conscious time, but then he married her without specifying again. The concept is the second stage of marriage. First there's the betrothal, the erison, and then there's the, not what we call today erison, that's engagement, that's nothing. It's a misconception that they made nowadays that they called erison to mean engagement. Bad. Erison means Kiddushin, and the engagement is called Shidduchin. They should change it. It's a very bad mistake. People, I heard a story that there's a Rebbe that the whole year he was teaching Kiddushin and he said that Erusin is not Kiddushin, Erusin is not engagement. And the last day, a boy talked about engagement. He said the whole year, that's what we're talking about. I just wanted one thing you should know that Erusin is not engagement, but it's hard. Okay, so anyway.
She's coming in with vows she already made.
So concept means that he did the second stage of marriage. That's the Nisuin. The Kiddushin nowadays they do everything right away. They do it on the same day.
Not my question. You're saying he didn't want to marry a woman that doesn't.
And she
already has vows. She vowed not to this or that.
Right.
Should she come into marriage with those vows and they stay?
Yes.
He can't. Okay.
Can he nullify them
after the fact?
Once he's that's called the code in made for the codeman. I think.
Right. Only if she made them after the Kiddushin. If she made them before the Kiddushin. Right. Let's say she was 15 before she
decided she's gonna grow her hair or something.
Right. So then that's the Gemara you call can't. It's only if she made between
the
Kiddushin and the Nisuin.
He can't make for those in the that she had before. I think so.
Why does it bother you?
No,
she was her own person. She made a vow. So why should we have
this? Because if he doesn't know that, and now she has all these things that he has to take care of because she has vows.
He's not taking care of. She's has. She's limited. All these restrictions. Right.
Whatever those vows are.
I don't know if she's on drugs.
She only eats expensive meat. Now he's got to only buy expensive meat. She made a vow.
So that's why he's saying does he want her? Right. So he had no way. How could he take care of her?
No. I was asking if he could take care of it. Because that would be
why should he able to? It's like he married someone on drugs. He has to deal with the issues.
Okay, so here it says that if he makes such a condition, so it's not a marriage because he said I want a woman who does not have the door. But then he did a second stage of marriage without saying anything. Consistam. It means afterwards. I think it's Pashtan the Mishnah. There's a whole sugya in the Dom that and Ksubas that's very marked about this. Mishnah here there's not too much Gemara about it, but over there we have to look in the Gemara to get the whole sugya. I think the Pashtan is consistent that after he married her with a condition, then the Su in the second stage he did without making a condition. So V'nim Su'al then the Dorim, Teitzei Shelo B'Ksuba. So then we're not so sure already since he did the second stage of marriage by without saying the condition. So it could be that he agrees to take her as she is, whatever she is. So then Teitzei Shelo B'Ksuba. So you don't say that it's not a marriage.
It doesn't mean that. Doesn't it mean that the Kiddushin was done with a almanas, and then he went ahead and still didn't learn out when the Kansa stage happened, and didn't realize and then he found out that she had a condition, and he thought, that she had a
right. I meant to say that. That's what I meant to say. That after the first stage, that he had made a condition by the Kiddushin stage, by the Nisuin stage, he didn't say anything, and then they are in the Dorim. Here you don't say that the whole thing is off. He does have to give a get. Rashi says because
I thought Teitzei means the whole thing's off. Teitzei means the whole thing's off, right? He divorces her.
Teitzei means he has to give her. Teitzei means he has to give her a get. She has to give her a get, but she doesn't get ksuba. So it's not the same as the Reish. The Reish was Enu Mukudeshes. Enu Mukudeshes means there's no marriage and she doesn't need a get. He just says goodbye. There's no marriage. Teitzei means he has to give her a get. Means that there is possibility, maybe it is a marriage. But Rashi says maybe. Rashi says suffix. Shelo b'ksuba, but she doesn't get ksuba because I think shelo b'ksuba might be because he might have a right not to give her ksuba even if she made these nedarim even after the marriage. I'm not sure. Here I wasn't sure. What's this concept that she does need a get because they say that maybe he did marry her without condition because he didn't make the condition again. But Shelo b'ksuba, she doesn't have a right to get ksuba. You don't say that she has a right to ksuba because we're not sure. If there's a suffix over here, it seems that there's a suffix. Says she doesn't get ksuba. So the whole thing is a suffix.
No, or even I would say even that suffix. She doesn't deserve a ksuba. She's a bad lady.
Okay.
Michelle said she limited herself she did some not a good thing.
So I'm not sure over here. I just know the Ikasug is in Ksubas and I don't look at it. So let's do the Mishnah. It's simple and small Gemara. I'm not saying of a woman. The same idea that she said I have no blemishes, and then it came out that she does have a blemish. And if the Kiddushin stage, you made a Mekadosh on the condition she has no blemish, and it comes out that she does, so it's not Kiddushin, because he said, Amanas. How about afterwards, Kansa Stam? I think this is the question the has over the Ksubas. The Kansa Stam is going back in the first case, that after the Kiddushin with a Tanai, he Kansa without a Tanai. I think it wasn't so simple over there, but let's try it like that. If he then, afterwards, he did do the Nisuin without making a condition, and Nimsu Ba woman, Tetze Shlo B'Ksuba, the same thing here. You don't say that it's not a Kiddushin. Maybe he didn't mean to marry her now unconditionally, but she does not get, if he wants to divorce, he has to give her a get, but she doesn't get Ksuba. And that's a period over here. And then the Mishnah continues. Something about the shin.
I thought Tetze means, you're saying if he wants to divorce her. I thought that Tetze meant he has to divorce her. So isn't it going on the fact that why does he have to?
Why should he have to divorce her?
Because he made a condition that she doesn't have a mum, and he didn't learn about that she didn't have a mum until the second stage. And
So
now
if he wants to stay married, so he doesn't have to divorce her. If he wants to, he can stay married. They can marry now if they want to. I think
Okay.
Tetze just means that he has to give her a get if he wants to divorce her.
Well, that's what I say. If he doesn't want to give again Kiddushin, I'm not sure it's like that. If he's right, maybe he has to either give a new Kiddushin or take. Maybe.
Okay, the question we have it very often. The word Tetze means that she needs a get. She doesn't go out free. You don't say anything Kodesh. You say that she's married, then a get is necessary.
Yeah, okay, I understand.
Maybe the point would be that's what whenever you say Shlo B'Ksuba, it means he has a right to divorce without giving her a ksuba. It has a shin, but something out the shin. Call a woman a postal b'kohen and postal b'nashim. What is the level of a blemish that's considered a blemish? Is everything a blemish? So there's a guideline.
Yeah.
Whatever is considered a mum by kohen is considered a mum by woman also. And then the Gemara does talk about some things that might be by women that are also added also, but whatever is considered a mum by a kohen is also considered a mum by a woman.
I don't really understand why. Certain things, the woman either. It's different.
There might be more, but not less.
I know a cataract for a woman is what only she can't see well. Doesn't make her less beautiful.
I don't know what that a cataract is a mum by a man by a
One
kohen.
that's one of the woman's dying, no?
That's how they translate it.
I think so.
Okay, depends what.
Or maybe it lessens her seeing. She could see less. So if you want a wife that could see well.
The Gemara just points out that the same Mishnah is mentioned twice. It's the same Mishnah. How do you say copy and paste? The same thing in Ksubas also. Amish talks about two things: Kiddushin. I'm sorry, he talks about Kiddushin and about Ksuba. Talks about if you need a get, if it's Mekudeshes, and about Tetze Shlo B'Ksuba. The Mishnah has both concepts about Kiddushin and about Ksuba. So the Gemara says that's why both Mesechtes. Hachi Kiddushin is Trichulei Tana Ksuba Sata Kiddushin. Over here, the issue of the Mishnah brings down is because if it's Mekudeshes or not. And once it's saying talking about that, so it says about the Ksubas also Shlo B'Ksuba. And over there, Hassam Ksubas is Trichulei. Over there, the subject is Ksubas. That she get Ksuba. Tana Kiddushin. So that's why it brings an issue if she needs a get or not, because the main subject was Ksuba, so it talks to Kiddushin also. New Mishnah. A man married two women, both of them for one fruta. Maybe he thought that he can get two for one. So he one fruta for two women. But really it means they have a fruta for each one. So it's not Kiddushin for either one. Or he gave one woman a pachas b'shavar fruta, and it's also the same thing. That he might have thought that it's a good Kiddushin, but both of them are not Kiddushin because neither woman got a shavar fruta. But then the question was, the main point is the next point. After the Kiddushin, he sent presents, like every good chassan, that he sends presents to his kala. Not kala, it's not a kala over here. Here, kala, we call it kala from the engagement. Engagement is nothing. And here's talking about Sevlon, especially after the Kiddushin. Between the Kiddushin and the Nisuin, they usually had a year in between. So he would send presents during that time. So he sent presents. The question is, the Kiddushin wasn't a good Kiddushin, but maybe the present now should be considered Kiddushin. Maybe now he meant to send the present if in case the Kiddushin wasn't good. So let this be the Kiddushin. So it says, no, it's not. Eina Mekudesh. It's not Kiddushin, even though he gave her a big present. He gets the present back at the end of the whole thing. He didn't mean to give a present stamp. Shemachmas Kiddushin Rishonim Salah. He only sent it because of the first. He thought he's married already, that he meant to do it for Kiddushin. He still thinks the Kiddushin was good. The Chen Katan Shekida, same thing would be a Katan, a minor that did Kiddushin, and it's not good Kiddushin. It's not, and afterwards he sent presents to his Kala. He's now already 13, and he sent presents to his young Kala. Maybe she's also not young to the father, whatever. The father married her off. But also, you don't say that since the first Kiddushin was not good at Kiddushin because he was a minor, and now that he's already an adult and he's sending presents, the present should be Kiddushin. No, he only meant he thought the Kiddushin was over already, and now he's just sending presents. But
Well, the whole shadow would be only if you sent the person from eight.
yes. Good. Oh, it's and it has three cases. It has a case about marrying two women for a pruta, one woman for half a pruta, and then about a katan. And all the cases says that he doesn't mean later on to send presents with a backup to maybe his kedushin. Diash min shava pruta, I did the kanafik mamona minei toy. Aval pachas shava pruta, emo yoder shen kedushin tov said the pachas shava pruta. The chi kamishades of lonos adaita the kedushin kamishade. Translation: if it only was the case of the shava pruta means that he married two women for a shava pruta. You might think over there that since he spent money, a whole pruta, he spent a whole pruta. So he thinks that it's Kiddushin. He makes a mistake, he thinks it's good Kiddushin, and therefore when he sends presents, he doesn't mean to marry her again because he thinks that he did a good marriage. But if if he married one woman less than a Shabbat Pruta, maybe everybody knows that halacha. Ema, I might say that he knows that the Kiddushin doesn't take effect less than a Shabbat Pruta, and he knows that it was a nothing. And now when he's sending,
you have to say also she knows also.
Yes. And when he's sending presents, he's doing it for the purpose of Kiddushin. Kamash Malan, that even in the case of Shabbat Pruta, we say that he doesn't mean to make new Kiddushin. He relies that the first Kiddushin was Kiddushin and it's not. And his presence now is Lama present, is not doing it for Kiddushin. Liashmina and Tani Tarti, they have both first cases, one of marrying two women for a Pruta or marrying one woman for a Pruta. But it wouldn't say a third case about a Katan. Mishum the Bain Pruta, the Prachas Shabbat Pruta, Lo Kim Lula Inji. People maybe they don't realize there's a difference between a pruta and less, and therefore he thinks that kedushin is good for less than a pruta. People don't realize that less than a pruta is not good kedushin, and therefore they don't mean to make a new kedushin again with the presents. Avokatan shekidish ekol yoden shen kedushin katan klum. Ema ki kamashada sevlonos adaita de kedushin kamashada. But when a katan is being mekadesh a woman, everybody knows that no such thing. He himself knows it. She knows it. That kedushin katan is nothing. And when he sends the presents, he's doing it for the purpose of kedushin. And you might think therefore that it is going to be Kiddushin, that in all three cases, we're not Choshesh for Kiddushin. In all cases, he just meant to give presents, he didn't mean to do it for Kiddushin.
But he's getting married with a minion.
No, Aiden.
Aiden, they're not going to tell him, you want to just make sure she's getting what, they asked the.
They didn't ask.
They
didn't ask. It wasn't a good it wasn't Masada Kiddushin over there.
No?
There was no Masada Kiddushin. They did it, do it yourself, the do it yourself way.
The basic, simplest option.
Itmar, Ravuna Amar, Choshen L'Savlonis. Here's a fancy case, an interesting case, that somebody gave a present before Kiddushin. This comes up to us also. We also get presents before Kiddushin. Ayachoshe, that it was for Kiddushin. He gave a present, Ayachoshe, that she's married. He didn't give a Aret Mukadash, again, in front of Aiden. Aiden, and he gave her presents.
But he didn't give it to us.
Maybe he did. Maybe he gave it for marriage.
There's a crazy chumah. Some people will not eat on a date because they're afraid of Kiddushin. There's no aid. It's all totally ridiculous.
Like a date. A date is nothing, but let's say during the engagement, while they're engaged, maybe the chasting is presents to the kala. So maybe he's doing. That's the case. That's the case of the Gemara. He's giving presents. Rashi says the Gemara is talking about after shidduchin, after they're already engaged. Tesis maybe argues, but Pasuk Pshat Rashi learns that it's talking about after they're engaged and he sends her presents. Ayachoshe, that was for Kiddushin. What's so terrible? If they break up. If they break up, she might be a married woman. She needs to get. So Rav Huna said Yechoshesh. Not for sure, but Yechoshesh, that the Savlonos was for marriage. So both of them said the same thing. Yechoshesh, that maybe the presents were for Kiddushin.
But very, you need both of them to want it. So it's a big chiddush.
And you're saying you pointed out Edom also.
Right, it's a big chiddush.
Amar Rabba, Musfina Shmaitin. We have a kasha on what I said. I said Choshesh, but I have a kasha on it. It says in our Mishnah, our Mishnah says that you're not Choshesh for Savlonos. Our Mishnah is talking about the presence after Kiddushin. But the Gemara thought there's no difference. If you see in our Mishnah that you're not Choshesh for the presence after Kiddushin, that it was for the purpose of Kiddushin, so maybe the presence before Kiddushin also you're not Choshesh. Abaye, it's not. Rabbi said it's not a kasha. Hasam Kiddushin time. The Mishnah says the reason. Shemach was Kiddushin Avishanim Shalach. That in our Mishnah is talking about that he married her. And then and it wasn't a good marriage, but he thought that it was. He thinks that Lasan Shapu, this is a good marriage. He thinks the Katan could marry. So when he gives presents afterwards, he's not making a new marriage. He's relying on the first marriage that he did, and it wasn't good. But here, that he's giving presents before the Kiddushin. Maybe it's a good. Maybe you can say what you said, that Yechoshes he gave it for Kiddushin. Ikadam, we ought to have a different version. Here it's not going to be as far as not going to be the same. The question who said what? Here Rabbi says, not that it meant to ask a kasha on himself. On the contrary, he wanted to bring a proof to himself. Because our Mishnah says, you're not choshev for Sevlonos because it's after the Kiddushin. Shemach mas Kiddushin arishonim shalach. Our Mishnah says the reason why not choshev for presents after Kiddushin because he's still relying on the first Kiddushin that he had. And Hachu the Toya ba'alma Kiddushin. Bring a right from here. Mistake. Ta'ut. Maybe being medayik that only over here because he did already Kiddushin, so he thought that was a Kiddushin and he's making a mistake. But otherwise, maybe Achosh that it was Kiddushin. So Rabbi wanted to bring a right from our mission. To the contrary, Rabbi says it's not approved. Maybe our mission is a chiddush that even though he did Kiddushin, he sees in a Kiddushin mode. When there was no Kiddushin done, he's holding only an engagement. He wasn't talking in the Kiddushin at all. So over there, you're surely not choshesh for Kiddushin. But our mission was a chiddush. And the nachas Kiddushin, he's already married her. He thought he married her. So you see, he's in the Kiddushin frame of mind. Maybe you would say, I have a Kiddushin. You might think over here, at least you should be choshesh that he's doing it for Kiddushin a second time. That you're not choshesh. So it wouldn't be a riot to you. The Gemara has this far. The Gemara is saying, I'm not choshesh for Savonos' Kiddushin. And that's a case of after the Kiddushin that wasn't good. I choshesh that the presence is for Kiddushin. And they're talking about Savonos before Kiddushin. And the Gemara is saying, maybe it's different. It's not a kasha, but it's not a proof either. Allah. What is the maskana? What are we going to pass on? Choshesh for Savonos? In a place where the minhag is to first do Kiddushin and then to give presents, see Choshesh that the present that was given before Kiddushin was for Kiddushin. Because usually you don't do that. You don't give presents before. But in a place where if people do give presents before the Kiddushin, you're not Choshesh, because that's normal standard practice. You give presents. The Chassan gives presents to his, how do you say, engagement, fiance. There's not what they work. So there's no reason to think it's Kiddushin. That's the minhag. But if the minhag is you don't give presents before the Kiddushin, so maybe talk. Yes, please.
You said
Betrothed?
Betrothed.
He's betrothed.
Oh, his betrothed. It's not only act; it's also the person. The person is called. The more is a kasha. If the custom is to first do Kiddushin and then to give the presents, and he gave presents right away, so pshita should be choshesh for that he meant to do for Kiddushin. Lo tzricha deruba makashi v'adam masavli miyuta masavli v'adam makashi. You're right. That would be pshita, but there's a chiddush over here. Even in a case where most people do Kiddushin first, but some people do presents first. You might think that we should be choshesh for the choshesh means to be mekel. You might think that since some people do give presents first, how does it say? Miyute do give presents first, and maybe his present also was not for Kiddushin. Kamash Malan, that since most people do give Kiddushin first, we are going to be choshesh that he meant for Kiddushin also. The rest of the Gemara is parentheses, I think. Yeah, the rest of it, you put until the Mishnah now, we can go in parentheses, but it's just going to bring it down because it's very similar to what he said about the different minhagim of what to do first. We talked about giving presents first, doing Kiddushin first. So the Gemara brings a similar case. You found a shtar ksuba in the market that says that Ploni is chayv ksuba to Plonis. So mahu ayechoshes that they're married. In fact, found a ksuba. So why did he give a ksuba? It must be that he married her. Just because he found ksuba, you should say that she got married. He wrote the ksuba, but he didn't marry her yet. Not enough reason to be choshesh that she's married. What do we say about? But so he said not. What is that? What's the halacha? Ravashi, it depends where the custom is. In a place where they don't write the ksuba until after the Kiddushin. So you find the ksuba written, so it must be that, or bikshash at least, that they got married. So you choshesh that she's an eshes, because they wouldn't have written the ksuba, she wouldn't have been married. But but if the custom is that they write it before the Kiddushin, so there's no reason. That's because they found the ksuba written, doesn't mean that they were married. Good. In the first case, that it's a place where they do Kiddushin first, then they write. So it's true that you should be choshesh that they got married because you see a star and no one writes a star over there. But you could say the Kiddush is in a place where it's not so easy to get a sofer in that place. You might think that maybe he wrote it because you got a sofer, so he wrote it even before the Kiddushin. Usually they do Kiddushin first. But here's an emergency case because he doesn't have a sofer around. So maybe you could say that's the reason why he wrote it, then it's not a chash for Kiddushin. That they wrote it because it was after the Kiddushin and she is married. Yechoshish ve'ishish. Yasher koach. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, thank you.
How was the connection today? Was it fair?